Okay, so here I've got a 2014 Dodge Ram 3500 with a 6.7. Now this does have the high output 6.7, so it's got the ASIN, the AISIN. I believe it's like the 96C transmission. The dipstick tube is on the driver's side of the transmission, or on the engine. If it's on the passenger side, you don't have the high output 6.7. But what I had was a essentially I had a communication code. It was a U0101, so it was losing communication with the TCM. This all started after the customer ended up accidentally hooking up the jumper cables incorrectly on the passenger battery. And at first it was intermittent. The only time I could get it to act up was after it sat all night, and then I went to go start it the next morning, and then it would go ahead and fail. I did several things, starting with some of the cheapest things first, started looking at what I needed to verify what we've got going on. Went to the wiring diagram for the TCM, which on this one is underneath the dash. It is a steel box with two white connectors. You got C1 and C2. You have two grounds on C2, and you have two powers on C2, and then you have another power on connector C1. So I checked all those with the DVOM, with the multimeter. They all registered battery positive voltage. I did have a code for an internal failure on the TCM for the computer. And, going through the diagnostic flow chart, they recommended replacing the TCM. So we actually ordered a TCM, plugged it in. Still, now it is a hard fault as a couple of weeks went by, and now it has zero communication with the TCM. I'm able to show that everything else is intact. I checked all the wiring, powers, grounds to the TCM, even checked the communication lines for the CanBus positive and negative, heading from the TCM over to the star connector, which is on the right kick panel on the passenger rear floorboard. If you pull that back, you'll see a nice green connector base there. Checked all those wires, they're all good. I even went to the TCM and checked voltages, and the CanBus positive was 2.6 and the CanBus negative is 2.6. Then after you disconnect everything, you can measure the resistance in between them, and I had 62 ohms. So I know that everything was communicating properly, but I couldn't figure out exactly what was going on. So then I came across a guy on a YouTube video that had what they call load tester. So not just a DVOM or a multimeter, but actually a load. And even, believe it or not, the factory manual calls for using a 3157 light bulb. So I hooked up a light bulb, basically just checked the amperage flow across it with an amp meter, and it was pulling right at 2 amps, which was good. My Mac test light was only pulling about 150 milliamps. So my test light was functioning properly, but what I found was the wire did not have enough connection on the power wire, which is pins 6 and 7 going to the TCM. And so I was not able to get enough power to turn on the TCM. What I ended up doing was going over to the, I believe they call it TIPM, which is basically the fuse block right over here. Unhooked it. Underneath, you've got the green connector right here. Now that green connector is C7, Charlie 7. And what you're looking for is a tan wire, which is all the way right next to that blue one there. And that tan wire is the power wire that goes directly to the TCM. So I put a spade connector inside of that terminal, hooked it straight to battery positive, and what do you know? Now underneath, I have enough power to light up the light bulb. So I checked that connection. Things were dirty, used some cleaner on it, hooked it all back up. Now I've got communication with the TCM. Never in my career have I come across a circuit that shows voltage with a multimeter, but when you put a load on it, it couldn't handle just a simple light bulb. But that apparently is what it was. Hopefully this helps you guys out. Like, subscribe. I'm going to be playing around with some of these, trying to figure out this YouTube video stuff, but I love working on this kind of stuff. Have a good one.